if you think you don't have abs because you're not doing enough crunches, you're already losing the battle. And look, I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad. I'm telling you this because I also fell into that trap for years. I thought that if I did more AB exercises, if I sweated more, if I ate less, eventually I was going to see that definition that all the transformation videos promise. But the reality is that you eat relatively well. You train with enthusiasm. Sometimes you even feel guilty about resting. And still that layer of fat on your abdomen simply doesn't go away. It's as if your body had decided that this is its favorite place to store reserves, and nobody is going to convince it otherwise. Today, I'm not going to talk to you about exercises or diet, at least not yet. First, you need to understand the detail that is sabotaging all your effort without you realizing it. Let's clarify something right from the start, because there's a lot of misinformation circulating out there. Spot fat reduction does not exist. You can do 1,000 crunches daily and your body is not going to say, hey, this guy wants to burn abdominal fat, let's please him. Your body doesn't work that way. Fat is lost systemically from the entire body, and unfortunately, the abdomen is usually the last place where it disappears. But here comes the detail that probably nobody has explained to you well. Abdominal fat is the last to go because it responds worse to the hormonal signals that tell the body to release energy. We're talking about insulin sensitivity, about cortisol, about adrenaline and noradrenaline, and about blood flow in that specific area. It's not that you're lazy or that you're not making enough effort. It's that probably your physiological strategy is completely wrong. Here is the core of all this, and I need you to understand it well. How you train and how you eat determines whether your body authorizes using abdominal fat as fuel. Pay close attention to that word, authorizes, because your body has a security system designed for survival, not for you to look good at the beach. The abdomen has more alpha-2 receptors than other areas of the body. These receptors basically block the release of fat. In addition, blood flow in the abdominal area is lower, which means that even when your body is burning fat, it has more difficulty transporting that fat from the abdomen to where it can be used as energy. This means something brutal. Even though you're in a caloric deficit, even though you're doing everything apparently well, your body can actively resist using that specific fat. Your body doesn't burn fat for aesthetics. It burns fat for survival. And from that primitive logic, abdominal fat is the last emergency reserve. If you also thought it was a matter of doing more AB exercises, leave it to me in the comments, because I want to know how many of us fell into that same trap. Now let's talk about error number 1 that is sabotaging your abs and that you're probably committing right now. Always training in a state of high stress. And I know what you're thinking. But if I don't suffer, it doesn't work. That mentality of more sweat means more results is destroying your progress. I'm referring to doing excessive cardio. HIIT every day. Resting little because you feel that resting is for lazy people. And sleeping poorly because you have to get up early to train. All of that elevates your cortisol chronically. And cortisol, when it's constantly high, tells your body one very clear thing. We are in danger, protect the reserves. Guess which reserve it protects first? Exactly, abdominal fat. It's ironic. The more you kill yourself training without strategy, the more you tell your body to keep that fat that you want to eliminate so much. More sweat doesn't mean more fat lost. Sometimes it means exactly the opposite. Give it a like if you didn't expect that training too much could be part of the problem. So what really works? Let's go with the scientific basis that nobody explains to you because they prefer to sell you miraculous supplements. The correct training to lose abdominal fat is not endless cardio or circuits that leave you lying on the floor. It's strength training with load progression focused on large muscle groups. We're talking about squats, deadlift, military press, pull-ups, and rows. These exercises increase your insulin sensitivity, raise your basal energy expenditure, and improve your complete hormonal profile. When your body has a good hormonal profile, When insulin works correctly and cortisol is under control, then yes, you can convince your body to release that stubborn abdominal fat. And cardio has its place, but you have to use it intelligently. 2 to 3 weekly sessions of moderate intensity, preferably after strength training or on completely separate days. What doesn't work is daily fasted cardio combined with stress, little rest, and the belief that the more you suffer, the more results you're going to see. That is the perfect recipe for permanent stagnation. It's like wanting to empty a pool with a bucket while someone else is filling it with a hose. No matter how much effort you put in, you're not going to win. Now let's talk about nutrition, because this is where most people get completely lost. I'm not going to demonize any food, because that's what gurus who want to sell you something do. The key points are simple. Moderate caloric deficit, not extreme. Sufficient protein to maintain muscle while you lose fat. And strategic carbohydrates not eliminated completely. Eliminating carbohydrates doesn't give you abs. It takes away your performance. And when your performance drops, your strength training suffers, your hormonal profile worsens, your cortisol goes up, and you already know what happens next. The abdominal fat stays exactly where it is. The practical recommendations are these. Eat carbohydrates around training when your body can use them best. Keep sufficient fat so that your hormones function correctly. Because without dietary fat, your hormonal production collapses. And avoid prolonged extreme diets. Those diets where you eat like a little bird for months destroy your metabolism and make losing fat increasingly difficult. It's the rebound effect that nobody wants to talk about until you've already lived it. Tell me in the comments if you ever fell into an extreme diet and ended up worse than when you started. Now comes the habit that almost nobody controls, and that could be sabotaging absolutely everything else. Sleep. And I already know it sounds like grandma's advice, but the data is clear. Sleeping less than 6 hours reduces your capacity to burn fat, increases hunger because it dysregulates appetite hormones, and raises cortisol. Again, cortisol. That is the villain of this entire story. You can train perfectly. You can eat perfectly. You can do everything I tell you in this video to the letter and still be covered if you sleep poorly. Your body needs sleep to regulate hormones, to recover from training, to lower stress. Without quality sleep, everything else functions at half capacity. It's like having a race car, but putting the cheapest gasoline in it. The engine is there, but it's not going to perform. And finally, let's talk about when to actually train the abs, because there's a lot of confusion here too. Abs as an exercise don't burn fat. Period. What they do is give shape to the muscle so that when the fat goes down, you have something to show. If you only lose fat but never train the muscle, you're going to end up flat instead of defined. The recommendation is to train them 2 to 3 times per week with deep core work, anti-rotation, and stability. We're talking about planks, dead bugs, Pallof press, and hanging leg raises. These exercises build a functional and strong core that is going to look brutal when you finally convince your body to release that fat. Share this video with that friend who has been doing crunches for months and continues exactly the same. Let's summarize all this in a checklist format so you don't forget anything. First, prioritize strength training over cardio. Second, do cardio intelligently, 2 to 3 times per week at moderate intensity. Third, maintain a sustainable caloric deficit, not extreme. Fourth, sleep well, minimum 7 hours. Fifth, reduce stress and prioritize consistency over intensity. It's not about killing yourself for 1 week and then collapsing. It's about doing things well in a sustained manner for months. Abdominal fat is not fought, it's convinced. You have to create the hormonal and metabolic conditions for your body to voluntarily decide to release those reserves. And that only happens when you train intelligently, eat strategically, and rest adequately. There are no shortcuts. There are no magical supplements. There are no 10-minute routines that are going to transform you. There is science, there is consistency, and there is patience. And speaking of training intelligently, I made a video explaining how to build a truly functional core that perfectly complements everything we talked about today. Because losing the fat is only half the battle. The other half is having something impressive underneath. If this video clarified more for you than the 1,000 miracle routines you've seen before, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming, and we'll see each other in the next video.